конкретные. Прицел, скорее всего, вот это. Вверх, вниз, влево, вправо. Прикоснемся к истории. Железный. Алюминий. I got it.
not a big fan of going a little plane. I take the flag, but I don't know. We go for 20,000 feet there.
Come back and watch it fly. Hummingbirds, you know,
I hate flying this ball, probably.
They're real 80s. They still have a lot of like.
You'll hear the
Just as a little commercial, although it's not required, if you're able to make any kind of a donation, please put the donation in this 200-pound bomb that we have by the entrance to the airport. That'll help us keep flying.
Rebuilt. There you go.
Where's that going?
Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Philly. The hubs are.
All right. If you want to hear, I'll tell the history of this airplane and how it happened to survive today. This airplane was built October 1944 by Lockheed Vega out in California. Its first assignment was to fly to Wright Field in Dayton, which is now Wright Pat. What that happened is they had invented a new ground-seeking radar they called the Mickey radar system. That was installed on this airplane, and the radar dome was actually installed where the ball turret is today. So you had a dome there. It was called a Pathfinder B-17. This airplane was used to train other crews in the U.S. on how to use that radar on a Pathfinder B-17. The reason for that Pathfinder is that up till that point, the crews over in Europe, if they were on a mission and their target was covered with clouds or smoke from the Germans and they couldn't see the target, they had to abort the mission. They either had to go to an alternate or just abort altogether. The Pathfinder allowed them to find the target through the clouds, so they were able to complete more missions using that. So they would have at least one Pathfinder in every group. And it was the bombardier and the Pathfinder then that would signal to the other bombardiers when to drop the bombs. When the Air Force was done with this airplane in 1959, it was sold at an auction for $5,026. The company that bought it for $5,000 was a shipping company. They installed a waste door in the back of the airplane in the waist, and it was used to ship fruit between U.S. and South America for several years. When that company was done with the B-17, it was sold to another outfit that got a contract with the Department of Agriculture to spray fire ants. So they installed insecticide tanks in the bomb bay, ran and used this as a sprayer to try to kill fire ants down south. I can only imagine what that looked like on that run when they came in low to spray. It had to be something to see. When that was done, the first museum to get their hands on this actually put the turrets back on the airplane to make it look again like a B-17G model, which it was when it was built in October of '44. The museum that owns it today is the Erie Air Museum. They're located in Madras, Oregon, and that's why it's called the Madras Maiden now. Madras, Oregon was the site of a B-17 training base during World War II, so they've named it Madras Maiden to commemorate all the men and women that did the training and all the crews that flew out of that base to go over to Europe and fight the war. Our foundation, the Liberty Foundation, leased this aircraft this season from their air museum And we're the group that's taking this on the tour around the country, giving rides and also the ground tours. This is the first year this particular B-17 has ever been used to give rides and ground tours like this. So we're happy to do it. And again, we're all volunteers. Because the main configuration of this airplane never changed, this airplane has never been through a major restoration. It wasn't needed. It's been maintained, got all the servicing it needed, parts that wore out were changed and so forth, but it never had to be restored. It was flying from 1944 to today. And that's the history. Go on in. By the way, the crew of 10 on a B-17, when you go up the ladder, look to your left, the bombardier sat here. That's the Norden bomb site you've heard about probably. He and the navigator sat in the nose. The navigator sat at a table behind those two windows. Either one of them could control the chin turret, and each one had a cheek gun, so they could also shoot the gun. Behind those guys, you had the pilot and the co-pilot up in the cockpit. Behind the pilot and co-pilot was the top turret gunner, and he was also the flight engineer. Now the flight engineer would monitor the gauges for the engines, for the flight, and also, help monitor and make sure everything was okay. He also had to shoot his guns though when they were attacked, but if they got any significant damage, he was an important guy to determine, do they have to head back or can they continue on? Behind the flight engineer, top turret gunner, you had the radio operator, and you'll be walking through the radio room. Behind that, you'll see the top of the ball turret. There was a gunner down in the ball turret, two waist guns, and then finally in the tail end of the airplane, the tail gunner. So a crew of 10.
Daddy, there goes an airplane.
Oh, it's a little one that was sitting here.
Now we don't charge admission for the tours, but if you would like to make a donation, we have a 200-pound bomb there. It's empty, so it won't explode, but we're hoping the donations will fill it with money.
I think I'm ready to fit my head.
Go ahead, I'll be right here.
How old are you? 13?
Good job, buddy.
We had pilots as young as 18 flying these in World War II. Yeah.
So you know how old it is?
So there were a lot of the crews were 18, 19, 20, 21.
Yeah.
My dad was a ball turret gunner. He was an old man at 26. And his pilot also happened to be 26, so they were old guys. The young men fight the war. And as you're squeezing through the airplane, you'll realize that it wasn't designed for us.
That's not that old.
You go through the bomb bay, you'll see there's hanging on each side two 500-pound bombers.
See up there?
Он говорит, самые молодые летчики были хлопцы 18 лет. Они были худые. И, в принципе, все было сконструировано для таких молодых ребят. Вот здесь был стрелок. Передний стрелок.
Down there and hold the ropes.
Да, запах даже стоит керосина. Вау. Тут еще нужно влезть. Я, конечно. Хорошо, что я похудал на 25 паундов. Вау. Это мне поможет пролезть. Да, современным здесь быть тяжко. Вот кабина. Вот здесь сидят второй этаж пилоты. Фух, да, ребята. Надо быть худым, чтобы пролезть в это все. Oh, careful, ma'am. Yeah, it's so narrow.
I know, but you need help getting turned around here. There.
Так, ну пойдем.
Oh my god.
Всякое оборудование. О, еще и пройти здесь надо между вот этими. Вот бомбы. Одна бомба. Вторая бомба. И вот такой проходик. Еще пройти надо его. Ну пошли. Let's go. Камера пройдет. Проходит. Проходит. Так. Опа. Пузо подобрать, чтобы не застрять. Так. Проходим. А это все было в полете. Кстати, в полете, когда было все летели. Так, здесь какой-то тоже компартмент. Места. Салон, наверное, первого класса. Бизнес-класса, наверное. Опа. Да. Люк. Люк открытый. Пожалуйста. Можно посмотреть, что там у нас. Вот так. Вот. Take a breath, man. Yeah, I know. Same thing for me. Take a breath. Чё? Дальше. Дальше. Внизу кабина нижнего стрелка. Вот. Там пушки внизу отстреливались. Дальше. Вот такой вид. Вот здесь оружие. Боковая пушка. Сбоку. Пожалуйста. Здесь левая сторона. Здесь правая сторона. Правая пушка. Идет. Всего оборудования, конечно, не знаю. Это шасси убирается, видно здесь сразу. Это, наверное, мотор для шасси, для уборки шасси. И там дальше получается стрелок задний. Сзади стрелок. Находится хвост самолета, и там стрелок. И здесь у нас получается выход.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And he was winning, never even told me. My dad started down to the west.
Yes,
Yeah.
же рядышком расположилась еще какая-то выставка бомбочки, наверное, которой он пользовался. Оружие. Хлопцы. Машина Второй мировой войны. Студебекер, скорее всего. Сейчас подойдем, посмотрим, что там. Нет, это не Студебекер, это Шевроле. Так и написано, Шевроле.
They also use them as anti-ship bombs. And the offering on the front is to limit the amount of penetration. If you were to drop one of these bombs from 5,000 feet or more, it would penetrate this runway and go about 30 feet into the ground before it exploded. So they would put these rings on the front to delay the penetration. They were all designed, and the other reason it was designed, it would go through a hangar and then it would have enough force against that ring to set off the fuse when it hit the floor. Okay? It would still penetrate into the floor, but it would explode at the floor level rather than at the ceiling level, which was more devastating. So it was all designed to work together with the fuses. The German fuses were mounted sideways in the bomb and they're electrical. They were charged as the bomb was dropped from the plane. An electrical charge would go into the fuse. It would charge 3 separate capacitors in the top of this fuse. Now this is an original German fuse. An armed German fuse would have a little metal extension on the bomb here called a gain or a booster. And it's the primer for the entire bomb. It's a very high explosive, fast acting explosive piece, like the primer of a shotgun shell. And it's shock sensitive. So that would be used to actually set it off. If you're a bomb disposal man like my dad, you would have to get this fuse out of that bomb and remove this booster to make it safe. This with just the booster on it is more powerful than the hand grenade. Okay? So you had to get that little booster off this fuse for it to be safe. And the Germans booby-trapped these. They had them that were designed so that when you tried to pull them out, any little wiggle would set them off, some types. They had Y fuses that were especially designed to not go off when the bomb hit the ground. And they had little mercury switches so that the most sensitive movement would cause them to explode. And they had another fuse called a Zeus 40, which was mounted on the booster on the bottom of the fuse, so that when you pulled this out, it would stay behind. It had little bayonets that would go out. It would stay behind and explode. So that if you tried to disarm the bomb, the booster would blow up. So the British that were in the lead of EOD at the time, it wasn't called EOT, it was called bomb disposal, decided that they were going to use special photographic units with the bomb disposal teams. These special photographic units carried little metal pots full of radium, okay? And they carried X-ray film. They would tape X-ray film on the side of the bomb. They would go to the other side of the bomb and they'd open up the pot of radioactive material and expose the film.
Like this.
Take a picture of the film. So they could then tell
Kind of nice.
It's a very unsafe thing, as we now know, to do that, but they did do it. They were called photographic units. They were actually X-ray units. Manually made X-ray units. Unless you combine it with TNT, TNT becomes 50% more explosive. So they also used ammonium nitrate modified and RDX modified. RDX is the base component of things like composition B.
Oh, yeah.
Liquid.
Christopher Columbus right there.
Clay-like composition. Like it's there. The base is later. Right there in the water. Plastic. They had always out there. Plastic explosives are just RDX plus the plastic. Aluminum powder during the explosion will liquefy and cause the TNT.
Здесь представлено, скорее всего, оружие, амуниция. Можно посмотреть, что здесь у нас. Мне одной рукой не очень удобно. Если я достану из кобуры его. Вот такой. Oh.
The high explosives that go used for the detonators.
Pipes down the wings and use this as a
.45 ACP caliber, UCP
Oh, right.
caliber.
How about this one?
That is the M3A1 submachine gun, better known as the grease gun. That also fires a 45 ACP round out of the 32 round stick magazine.
So this is like an ammunition, everything, so like for time of World War II?
Yes, this is what, this is the uniform and gear that a soldier in the 101st Airborne Division would have used in the Second World War.
Oh, okay.
I said, well,
Okay.
take a 12-gauge shotgun.
Great.
Blank in it.
How about this is
Go
rifle?
inside a closet.
This rifle
set it
here
up.
is the US M1 Garand, one of the best known rifles of the US military. It fires 30-06 caliber rounds out of a 8-round end block that is inserted within. And that is the currently the longest used issued rifle in the United States military, used from all the way through World War II through the end of Vietnam.
Oh, great.
Yes.
Great. Thank you. Great.
Yep. Yeah, on both. Throw on both right on that side.
What this is bags for?
These bags, second. This bag here was just the U.S. map case. It was carried by officers and high-ranking officials, just carried their maps and such. And here is the U.S. set bag, which is just basically all-purpose backpack where they carry food, rations, blankets, whatever they need.
All right.
Yeah.
Any more guns or just this one?
Yeah, this is all we brought today.
Just, all right. Is this like a private collection or it's from a museum or what is it?
This is all private, privately purchased by myself.
Ah, great, great. And uniform is the same thing?
Yep, uniform,
This
same
is
as well.
uniform of what
this
time
is
of World War II?
This is the uniform of early parts of World War II that was used by the 101st Airborne Division through the D-Day campaign in Normandy.
Oh, great.
Yes.
Oh, but just for those campaign or other campaign they use this other uniform?
This uniform was used through Normandy. Then all the airborne companies were switched over to the M43 style of uniform, which then pursued on through the end of the war because it was more combat efficient through the places they were fighting. Excuse me, sir.
You gotta give him
I asked him.
Oh, right, I asked. All right. Just making sure.
Great. Thank you.
Yep. Yep. Any questions about the gear, guys?
Not
Gear, guns.
just like pulling the trigger of a gun. 1.5 seconds later,
This is the U.S. M3
What's going
A1
on?
submachine
Believe
gun,
me,
better
no matter
known
what.
as the M3 grease gun.
and just hold one of these.
First came around in late 1943.
Second and a half later, flies into the air. And it sends these pellets around. These are the pellets from
U.S.
that.
military, approximately $15 for 45 caliber.
It's good that
Yeah, ready?
no food at the firehouse.
Now this little deal like a maple
Yep.
will spin, but won't slow it down.
Dick Crabtree.